Welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone podcast, episode number 570 for the 15th of September 2019. Richard Saunders here with you from the Bay Area, San Francisco, where it's been hot. Bit of a late summer heat wave. Coming up on this week's show, at the top of the show, Skeptical Outreach with the Bay Area Skeptics. I joined the Bay Area Skeptics a few days ago at the Solano Stroll. You'll find out what that is soon, where we had a little tent, a little table, and we were doing psychokinesis tests on the general public. Could they influence the rolling of a normal six-sided die? A fun day out and a good day to promote science and reason. Find out more at the top of the show. Following that, it's the Raw Skeptic, Heidi Robertson, with a report from her area of New South Wales, the far north coast, about irresponsible parents and a measles outbreak. But it's not all bad news. Heidi also reads out a letter from a man making some very, very good points indeed. Find out soon. Then we have some sad news to report with the passing of skeptic and psychic debunker Robert Lancaster. I met Robert at the amazing meeting many years ago, and, of course, it's very sad to hear that he has passed away. Towards the end of the show, it's another update from Susan Gerbic and her work at Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia. And stay tuned at the end of the show for some news about where Susan will be appearing. And then to round off the show, I meet up with my old friend Moriel Schottlender, who I first met in 2008 in Las Vegas after admiring her online videos about how to do science in the bathtub and all sorts of things. Anyway, Moriel, who works at Wikipedia, has launched her own little wiki called Nutshell Wiki. Find out what that's all about and how you can help towards the end of the show. A bumper show this week. But that's enough for me. Right now it's time for me to run upstairs. I wonder if I have any little bits of cheese, chocolate, champagne and chilies left. Now that is a good combination, folks. While I search around for that, I hope you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. The Solano Avenue Stroll, also known as the Solano Stroll, is an annual street fair held on the second Sunday of September on the Solano Avenue shopping district of Albany and Berkeley, California. Stretching close to 2 miles long and bringing between 250,000 to 300,000 attendees in a single day, it has been called the oldest and largest street festival in the San Francisco Bay Area and the world's biggest block party. In 2001, the Library of Congress's American Folk Life Center in Washington, D.C., designated the festival as a National Local Legacy. It was my pleasure to join members of the Bay Area Skeptics to be on hand to help promote science and reason. Today is the 8th of September 2019. I'm in Berkeley, California for what they call the Solano Stroll, which is a very long street fair. These things are common in Sydney, of course, and I'm sure other capitals around the world. Lots of people here setting up little tents, little stalls, little stands, and crowds of people shuffle past. Have a fun day out. I'm here helping out today with the Bay Area Skeptics, and we have a little allotment here, and today we're going to be conducting psychic tests. Oh yes, are you psychic? Take the PK challenge with the Bay Area Skeptics, and the idea is somebody will come around, choose a number from 1 to 6, keep that a secret to themselves by picking a card, and then we'll get them to roll this lovely casino blue die I have in my hand in this big tub. and see if they can use their psychic powers to manipulate what number comes up, and we record the results and give them the results. If they're lucky enough to get the number coming up twice, we're going to give them a prize of a D10 dice. We've got a whole stack of those. And here's Dr. Eugenie Scott. Just what do we got here? Bay Area Skeptics badges.
Yeah. Buttons
or badges. I'd call those a badge.
That's a badge?
That's a badge.
Well, but then you call cookies biscuits, so, you know.
A button is this. This is a button, right? And a badge is something...
you know, all
we can have this argument forever.
You're probably correct. This is a badge would be more of... Anyway, this is what you pin on yourself.
I'll buy that. We've got a couple of tables set up here. Everyone else is setting up. It's really before the event gets going. But you've done this a number of times?
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually started doing this with the Bay Area, with the National Center for Science Education. But also when my daughter was in crew in high school, which was... back in the 90s, I guess it was, the high school crew team has a display, and Bay Area Skeptics have had displays. So, this is just a fun way to spend a Sunday afternoon in the sunshine with your neighbors and friends, and we're going to teach people a little bit about science.
I'm sure we will. I'm looking forward to it. Now, I step out here and I look right down the street. There are tents as far as I can see. And we've got a band setting up next to us. That should be interesting. They're called the Quarry Persons. The Quarry Persons. I wonder what sort of music they'll be playing. I'll step out from the stand now before things get going and have a quick look around. Berkeley Repertory Theatre have a stand. We've got the Berkeley Playhouse, something called Youth Division, which is for dancers. Berkeley something or other here, Berkeley Humane, saving friends since 1927. Oh, it's like the RSPCA. It's something for the aid of animals in distress, I think. And lots of what's this? Fern's Garden, an artist, I think that is, popping up here. All sorts of things, and I bet my bottom dollar there's probably going to be a little bit of shall we say, alternative thinking. But later on I'll take a stroll when I have time. I'm doing several shifts here today at the table, and we'll see what we can find. But it's always a good day when you get to do outreach, scientific and skeptical outreach to the general community. It's almost starting time. It's almost 10 o'clock, Jeannie, and my goodness me, in front of us, stretching as far as the eye can see, people are lining up for a parade, which I wasn't expecting.
Oh, yes, the Solano Stroll has a terrific parade. In a lot of ways, it's a very typical street fair or country festival parade, so to speak. There are high school marching bands, and the Girl Scouts will be marching, and in front of us lining up is a children's martial arts group. They're all in their little white suits with belts, and there's a Chinese dance group, which is probably a little more regional. They probably wouldn't have that in Iowa. But then again, this is Berkeley, so it's going to also have some, shall we say, local colors, so to speak.
All right, and as we speak, there's a cloud of bubbles heading our way.
Yes. We're about to be bubblified, yes. Somebody's got a bubble maker, which is a whole lot of fun. This will be great. This will be great.
And I'm just noticing the band next to us, which I mentioned before, the Quarry Persons. And I'm looking at all their guitars. They're straight out of the Beatles catalogue. There's a Hofner bass over there. There's probably a Rickenbacker over there somewhere. So that should be interesting music for us to work to today.
Yep, and they're right next door, so we will definitely hear them. We've already had 3 people take our Psychokinesis challenge.
I just lost the results there. Oh, here they are. So our first...
One got 0 and one got 1 correct, and the last person got 3 correct.
3 correct. And they wanted a 10-sided dice.
By the time we finish with this, you can actually take a picture of this and put it on your website if you want. We should get a somewhat normal distribution. That's what we had last year when we did the Psychokinesis challenge. It's a lot of fun.
And the parade has started at last, and they're all streaming past us slowly, bit by bit. There's so many people in the parade, it stretches right down the street. And coming up now, past our position, we have Climate Strike, 1,000 grandmothers for future generations. And indeed, I guess the participants are all grandmothers. All with their T-shirts saying grandmothers for future generations, followed by a marching band from some sort of school or other. No, one of the climate change grandmothers came up to us thinking we were the skeptics, as in the climate change skeptics, but that happens all the time. Oh well. That's the curse of our title, The Skeptics, isn't it? That we get confused with it. Whoa, have they go? All sorts of people. What a colourful parade this is.
We did just, you should probably wear one of these Mardi Gras beads that was given to us by one of the parade people. That's another one of the cultural patterns of American street fairs. I mean, people will toss out Mardi Gras beads. Somebody's going to be tossing us candy at some point.
Ooh.
Just wait.
We get the best seat in the house, Jeannie.
This is why I moved the booth here rather than a block away.
Now, what's coming up next?
Do we know what Armada is?
No. Armada, it says.
What's Armada?
What are you?
Swim team.
What?
A swimming team, right. And they're certainly making a splash here today, the swimming team. The yellow submarine is walking past.
Hi, we're the Bay Area Skeptics. We believe in science and critical thinking. And tests of claims of paranormal, like psychokinesis. So come back and you can try our psychokinesis challenge.
Yes.
See if you can make a dice roll more often than expected by chance.
Yeah.
With the power of your mind.
Well, my first shift is over, and I'm surprised I've got a voice left at all. I've been trying to talk to people about the Bay Area Skeptics right next to the Beatles tribute band, which is a lot of fun to hear the music, but oh boy. So it's my opportunity now to walk the length of this event. And on both sides of me, lots of people, lots of stands, and I'm sure I'm going to find some very interesting things on my break. We certainly had an interesting group of people, a lineup of people, a range of people come up to do the psychic test, the psychokinesis. A lot of people were very curious to know what the skeptics were all about. Oh, so I'm going to break my train of thought here. I've come up to one end of the stroll, and it's at the top of the hill, and I can see down to the other end. Must be 2 or more kilometres. It's quite something. Anyway, so a lot of interesting people, a lot of people interested to know what the skeptics are. A lot of people didn't understand. Quite a few people thinking that, or asking, are we climate change skeptics? A lot of people quite pleased to see skeptical outreach, and somebody warned me there are psychics down the other end, so I'll have a look. And the last woman I tested on the dice tested reasonably well, got 4 correct, which is beating the odds. And then she looked at me and said, well, of course, I'm psychic anyway. Which led to an interesting discussion, and well, there you go. So the range of stands and stalls and outreach here is quite something. National Park Service I'm passing right now. Lots of things promoting local organizations, which is fair enough. And just another thought about the woman who said she was psychic. The conversation with her afterwards didn't lead very far, because there's a point where they don't want to really listen to what you're saying, or they can't, or the concepts are unknown to them. And it's a conversation I've had 1,000 times before, and there's you reach the time where you realize it's going nowhere, but that's okay. That's okay. Walking down, and as promised, here we go, Psychic Institute.
Oh my God, that's so adorable.
With people with their arms out doing what I presume is Reiki or something like that. Modest little tent, couple of people. Ooh, Psychic Fair Open House. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, it's the same thing I've seen again and again at Mind Body Wallet for years and years and years. Hold up your hands. Oh, hello, it's a Bernie Sanders stand, complete with cardboard cutout of Bernie Sanders. Oh, it's the Scottish country dancing.
Gone back to Europe.
It's interesting to know what one's ancestors got up to. Well, you know, the day had to come where I would say, now I've seen it all. Morris dancing. As expected, chiropractors are here, but that's normal, I think. Innate Chiropractic and Wellness Studio. Optimize your athletic wellness potential. Increase stability and stamina. It sounds like the old power balance test to me. Oh, there's a chiropractic bed and away they go. And not far behind that, or along from that, we have a company called Grove Family Acupuncture. Acupuncture, herbs and nutrition. Fertility, pregnancy. I see. Sure. Oh, that irks me, folks. We have free energy healing, and the hook they're using to get people in is origami. Ooh. Wow, I've made it back to the Bay Area Skeptics stall. The Beatles have gone, and we've got the Mexican rhythms, I guess, the Latin rhythms. Spanish? I'm quite parched. That was a long journey. I did pick up a flyer. I'm with William Patterson. William, how's it been going here?
Very, very well, Richard. It's really very interesting. We've proved, nothing. We haven't proved a thing.
You've been doing the dice game with people, yeah?
Yes. We're testing psychic ability. We're using a standard six-sided die, and we're having them roll it a number of times, and to find out, is anything unusual going on? Do they get their number to come up a whole bunch of times in a row? And so far, we've had one person get 6 out of 10, which is a little unusual, but not so much that we can say that psychokinesis exists. I
think I'm a bit skeptical about that 6 out of 10. I got to get to the bottom of that one. But I picked up this flyer down there, CDMBPI. Welcome to our open house and psychic fair. 1730 Solano Avenue, Solano Stroll, blah, blah, blah. We are offering free aura healings worth every cent and 15-minute clairvoyant readings, one for $15. Ooh, what a bargain.
A bargain? $15? Man.
You should see what they normally charge.
Oh, I guess so. Goodness me. Well, we should be charging for we're testing for psychokinetic abilities. We should be charging for that. But actually, we're doing it for absolutely nothing, just in the interest of science.
And even giving things away.
Absolutely. Little gifts.
Oh, the day is going on. It's almost 3 o'clock. We've had lots of people so far doing the old dice test, and so far the results are falling in line with our predictions, oddly enough. Hello, sir. What's your name?
My name's Stephen.
And you're helping out today. And we just had one of those encounters. We had a 9/11 truther come over.
Yeah, the most terrifying thing that we can run into on one of these days. And he came over and he said...
He was ready.
He said, so what do you think about 9/11? Yeah. And I said that I believed that it had happened. Then I left you hanging out to dry.
Yeah, and I said it was terrorists flying planes in the building. Oh, boy, did he come up with the stuff. And he had the rant all ready. So when I tried to interject slightly, no, he kept going.
And then he looked at me and I said, well, how about that?
Yeah.
And he looked at me and obviously I wasn't going to bite.
Yeah, and you said, well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
I like the sort of putting the word go on it.
Well, there you go. And he went.
Yeah, so that actually went a lot better than I was worried that it did. And then we also had a woman that told us about her dreams for a little while.
Yes, a long chat about her dreams and what do you think they meant. And then she ended up with Edgar Cayce and the Book of All Knowledge. And anyway, she was nice enough.
She was very nice.
Yeah.
And actually, she almost wanted us to talk her out of it, it seemed.
Almost. It was difficult.
It was hard to say. But it's been... aside from the loud bands, which the bands have been actually very good bands, just right next to us.
Yes, they're on a hiatus. Oh, hello. I spoke too soon. One of the guys picking up the guitar. No, we've had half an hour of no bands, which meant we can chat to people. They're going to start again soon. But no, so far it's been an excellent day. We've made contact with a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun, and we have been drawing a beautiful bell curve on a piece of paper, which, as you say, it's sort of spooky that we can actually predict something mathematically. Almost like we have psychic powers.
Almost.
They're going to start.
Oh my, before the music starts. Hi kids, you just rolled the dice game. Was that fun?
Yeah.
How did you do? Okay?
Okay.
Yeah? And did you have fun?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for playing here today.
Thank you.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we had about 43 people try the Psychokinesis Dice Challenge. We have 6 people getting 4 out of 10 correct, and that was the highest score on the day. The most frequent score we discovered was getting a score of 2 out of 10, followed closely by 1 out of 10, and then in equal third place, 0 out of 10 and 3 out of 10. Results that more or less followed the predetermined mathematical curve. For more information about the Bay Area Skeptics, head to baskeptics.org. Skepticon 2019, the Australian Skeptics National Convention, will be in Melbourne from the 6th to the 8th of December. We have an impressive speaker lineup, including The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, Dr. Steve Novella, Jay Novella, Cara Santa Maria, Bob Novella, and Evan Bernstein. Also, Susan Gerbic from Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia. And many other international and local guests, including Joe Thornley, the host of Zealot, a podcast about cults, and an author of a book by the same name. Skepticon includes a trivia night on Thursday the 5th of December to test your skeptical knowledge. For more information about the event, the speakers, and how to buy tickets, visit skepticon.org.au or follow the link in this week's show notes. It's the Raw Skeptic Report with Heidi Robertson.
Hello everyone, Heidi Robertson from the Northern Rivers Vaccination Supporters here. I have another article from Jane Hansen to read out this week, but unfortunately it's not the news we would have wanted to hear here in northern New South Wales. The article appeared in The Telegraph on the 8th of September 2019. Quote, Byron Bay measles outbreak result of irresponsible parents. Health authorities are bracing for a measles outbreak in the anti-vax heartland of Byron Bay after a local unvaccinated child caught measles in New Zealand and returned to the town. Doctors are now pleading with those parents who refuse to vaccinate their children to be more responsible when they travel to countries with measles outbreaks. New Zealand has a serious outbreak of measles that has affected more than 1,000 children. The infectious child travelled to several shops and cafes around Byron Bay, a town where a third of all children are not vaccinated. Chair of the Northern New South Wales Local Health District, Dr Byron Pizzuti, said the parents were simply irresponsible if they exposed their child to measles overseas. If the children are not going to be vaccinated, they should stay where they are safe, Dr Pizzuti said. It's irresponsible for the child to be exposed in the first place and then irresponsible to bring the child back into their own community. The community itself now has to take some responsibility for making sure this doesn't happen. It's all very well for mothers' groups to tut-tut, but there needs to be more pressure from the community to make sure these children are immunised. Parents at the Byron Bay Preschool Cavanbar Centre were informed of a suspected measles case on Thursday. New South Wales Health has not confirmed the case. The local health district has also sent exposed children to the Byron Bay Hospital Emergency Department to be vaccinated. And as a side note here, I was in the Byron Bay Emergency Department this last week with my poor son who broke his arm, and I overheard a nurse organising a child to come in and have the MMR vaccine, which was great to hear. That's one more child vaccinated that wasn't before. And I read on, quote, "Measles is so contagious that if one person has it, as many as 90% of the people exposed who are not immune will also become infected. Measles can cause fits or convulsions, croup and inflammation of the brain, which could result in hospitalisation. 2 children in 1,000 with measles will have inflammation of the brain, which can result in permanent brain damage or death. A late complication of measles is subacute sclerosing panencephalitis, or SSPE, which causes progressive brain damage and nearly always results in death. The Byron Shire has the lowest immunisation rate in the country, with enormous peer pressure placed on new mothers by the multitude of vocal anti-vaxxers. The government has done what it can within reason. It is now up to the Byron community to do what it can to encourage more responsibility among the parents of these children, Dr Pizzuti said. To see a perfectly healthy child go through encephalitis and end up with a non-functioning brain is a dreadful prospect." End quote. So, seeing the incubation period for measles is a couple of weeks, we are currently all holding our breaths, hoping that this one case is just the one case. And since most people can only hold their breaths for a short period of time, that seems unlikely. Sooner or later, we all have to breathe in public and just hope that the measles virus is not in the vicinity. In good news, I did see a post on one of the local community Facebook pages, and I mean local to the Byron Bay region, by a local standing up for science. I'd like to read it out as it was like a breath of fresh air. This might be pretty common in other regions, but it's not so common for locals to put themselves out around here in support of vaccinations and science in general. We've since contacted the author of this post, and he is now a member of our Northern Rivers Vaccination Supporters group, I'm so happy to say. So he posted this on his personal page as well as the Mullenbites Facebook page, and then it was reposted on the Byron Bay Community News page. And here it is, quote, "Byron, let's go with the science. I'm really concerned about the state of the planet because an international community of scientific researchers and experts are predicting dire outcomes of inaction. My concern is shared by so many people in my community, and around the world that a global consensus around climate emergency is occurring. It's activating positive change. There is resistance, not in Byron Bay. This week, we have measles warnings in Byron Bay and the North Coast. Re-emergence of highly preventable illnesses that have caused havoc in times before vaccinations. The overwhelming evidence from the medical research community across the globe is that vaccinations are safe and effective at reducing significant harm caused by the illness they protect us from. The Byron community is so enlightened about the need to address the climate crisis. We so often have been ahead of the Australian narrative in the green space. Evidence-based scientific assumptions are accepted in this circumstance. Yet so many deny the evidence-based medical science around vaccinations. 5G is another interesting topic in this space. There is a fairly universal dismissal of the dangers being identified by some in our community by mainstream scientists who understand the technology. From the mainstream scientific analysis I have read, there is absolutely zero chance 5G will harm us. However, it will connect our community to much faster internet. This has so many benefits: health, education, networking, many schools, community organisations and businesses in our community are crying for better connectivity. 5G is part of that. Just like radio changed communities by spreading ideas and opening opportunities to connect when it was emerging technology, the internet is doing the same for us today. When radio was new, some people believed conspiracy theories about harmful effects of radio waves. In one moment, we worship science. The next, we are abandoning it for the latest conspiracy theory, hot-housed by people with little or no scientific training, or individual members or disparate groups of scientists who disagree with peer-reviewed mainstream scientific assessments. To the majority of parents in our community who do vaccinate, thank you. And to those who are questioning about the issue, please read the mainstream consensus of medicine on the issue and trust the world's doctors and medical scientists are not conspiring to harm you. End quote. Thanks for listening, and until next time, this has been Heidi Robertson of the Northern Rivers Vaccination Supporters. You can follow us on Facebook and or Twitter at NRVax, that's VAX Supporters. And say hi if you're on Facebook by sending us a message or just a like to our Facebook page. Bye for now.
Morty Skeptics in the Pub present Listening to the Universe with Gravitational Waves. Tuesday, the 1st of October, 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. with Dr. Hannah Middleton, astrophysicist, University of Melbourne. In 2015, gravitational waves were observed for the first time from the collision of two black holes a billion light-years away. Gravitational waves make minuscule changes in distance which were picked up by the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory. Gravitational waves gives us a new way to learn about the universe. This presentation is an overview of what has been discovered so far from gravitational waves and what observations can be made in the future. That's Tuesday, the 1st of October, Morty Skeptics in the Pub. For more information, check out the links on this week's show notes. Show notes.
Now here's a news item that comes to us from the website of Australian Skeptics, skeptics.com.au. Vale Skeptic and a psychic debunker, Robert Lancaster.
This is by Tim Mendham, written on the 8th of September 2019. Robert Lancaster, noted American skeptical activist who created the website Stop Sylvia Browne, died on September 7 following a long illness from a stroke in 2008 and a heart attack in 2011. In 2008, Lancaster launched the website devoted to debunking the claims made by psychic Sylvia Browne. His investigations revealed many instances of Browne's psychic visions being clearly wrong. These also proved extremely damaging to the families of missing persons, of whom Browne regularly claimed to have psychic knowledge, in many cases stating that they had died when they hadn't, or were living when they had died, well before Browne's claims were made. For instance, the site documented her involvement in the Holly Crewson missing person case. In a 2002 episode of the Montel Williams Show, Browne said Crewson was at the time working as a stripper in Los Angeles. However, in 2006, her dental records were matched to a body that had been found in 1996. Browne herself died in 2013. Lancaster said he launched the site because, quote, "I found her work with missing children to be incredibly offensive," end quote. Australian Skeptics Inc. Vice President Joe Benamou said, quote, "I only met him in person once at the Amazing meeting in Las Vegas in 2010. However, we connected on Facebook, and despite not having much contact in the 10 years since we met, he was someone who just stayed in my mind as a thoroughly good human who tried to do something about the dishonest charlatanism that afflicts humanity," end quote. He suffered a stroke in 2008, which hospitalized him for some time, but he was able to remain active in the community and did much through a number of skeptical activities. In 2009, he received the Citizen Science Award from the James Randi Educational Foundation and was a regular presenter at the Amazing Meeting conventions and on a range of skeptical podcasts and programs. Now, I first met Robert Lancaster in 2008 at the Amazing Meeting, and then we heard sometime later about his stroke, but if my memory serves, I saw him again the very next year, 2009, at the Amazing Meeting, where by that stage he was in a motorized wheelchair, and I was sitting at the Skeptic Zone desk in the hallway, and he made his way up past all the desks to stop to chat to everybody. Robert Lancaster was a fine example of grit and determination despite obstacles he had to overcome. And you can read that notice for yourself at skeptics.com.au.
Yalansavar ekibi bir grup skeptik ve bilim tutkununun bir araya gelmesiyle oluşmuş gönüllü bir ekip olup amacı toplumda eleştirel düşünce alışkanlığını yaymak ve muhtelif asılsız iddiaları irdelemektir. Bu bölümde bahsettiğimiz konulara ve farklı pek çok yazımıza yalansavar.org adresindeki web sitemizden ulaşabilirsiniz. Sosyal medyada bizi Yalansavar kullanıcı adı ile Twitter'dan ve Facebook sayfamızdan takip edebilir. Farklı konularda hazırladığımız video ve görüntülü sohbetleri ise Yalansavar'ın YouTube kanalından izleyebilirsiniz. Bizimle iletişim kurmak isterseniz lütfen yalansavar@gmail.com adresinden bize e-posta gönderin. Bir sonraki bölümde görüşmek dileğiyle sağlıcakla kalın.
I think we need to think. Here's Susan Gerbic.
Richard asked me to share GSOW stories with the Skeptic Zone listeners every few weeks, which I'm happy to do. I personally do very little editing. The real workers are people on our team. We just have written over 1,130 pages, created completely from scratch or completely rewritten. And these pages have been viewed 47.6 million times as I record this. So I'm left with finding a Wikipedia story to amaze and amuse the Skeptic Zone listeners. And I think I found something that might interest you all. So one of my editors, Kelly Eckersley, who is an airline pilot based in Melbourne, well, he discovered the skeptic community from Dr. Carl, and then found the Skeptic Zone, and then found the GSOW Wikipedia project about 18 months ago. In March, Kelly wrote a Wikipedia page that was quite unusual. Normally the work we do falls under science or pseudoscience, and I just wasn't sure about this Wikipedia page that he had written for someone called Leonard Posner. Who is that? I mean, I can hear you asking it, and I was thinking the same thing. So Posner's son Noah was the youngest child to be murdered in the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012 in the United States. And I'm sure most of you are aware of the nightmare that Posner and the other parents received by conspiracy theorists fueled by trash like Alex Jones. These nutters refuse to believe that Sandy Hook has happened. They don't believe that Noah existed. They think the federal government has made it all up. False flags for reasons only a sick mind can imagine. The Posner family has repeatedly had their address released, and they are stalked and harassed, and they've had to move often. Posner began an organization to fight back, and it's called HONR Network. Now, HONR doesn't stand for anything, by the way. I'm sure conspiracy theorists will come up with all kinds of acronyms that fit it, but it really doesn't stand for anything. HONR Network is a Wikipedia page that Kelly Eckersley just wrote for the GSOW project as it ties into conspiracy theories. So the mission of HONR Network is to protect survivors and the families of victims of mass casualty events like Sandy Hook, the families who are being harassed, defamed, tormented, threatened, and intimidated online by hoaxers and hate groups. So when Posner was on his own trying to fight against Facebook and Twitter and other social media sites, he was trying to flag and bullying and threatening posts about him and his family and the other people who were victims in Sandy Hook. There was just really only him, and there was a multitude of these conspiracy theorists who were trying to harass him. It was a lot of work. Facebook and Twitter and YouTube weren't making it easy on him. They sprang up as often as he was able to knock down any kind of use of his son's image. And I want to point out that at first Posner thought that maybe he should approach these people the conspiracy theorists, and showing him his son's birth certificate and pictures of his son and showing him that he was a real person. And maybe he convinced a few people, but for the most part, it just fed into the conspiracy theory mind, and these people just took it up a notch and made him one of the biggest targets. So what has happened with the HONR network? It's now a 501c3. What they're able to do is they have about 300 volunteers, and what they do is they go through, they work to remove harassing content from the internet, or photos of the children or the teachers and so on that are being used for the conspiracy theory mind. What he was able to do is he was able to get Facebook to take it more seriously, and apparently that's been successful. YouTube has already started to change the way that they handle these tragic losses. It's a slow process, but he's making grounds. Same with Twitter. It was another slow-moving platform that wasn't really taking it seriously. And now with the HONR network, they have more clout. Now, here's one I didn't realize was a problem, but I guess it makes sense. WordPress, which is the site that you can make websites on, they were really responsive, apparently, to Posner and HONR, trying to get rid of websites that were absolutely fueled with hate and bullying against people who have experienced mass tragedies like this. By having these Wikipedia pages, it's going to help out Posner and also the network to be able to be taken more seriously in the media's eye, receive more probably more funding, more interviews, and it just helps them put their best foot forward. And it is a way of helping out in a way that, our community probably wouldn't have been able to help out normally by creating a Wikipedia page. Because as we all know, this is where people go to find information about things, as well as they're able to write better stories about the network. So this is, like I say, one way of helping out. If anybody listening would like more information about the GSOW project, you can find all kinds of information on our website, which is abouttimeproject.org. You can also come and talk to me at one of the upcoming conferences coming up soon. I will be speaking at PsyCon in Vegas in October. In November, I will be at the New Zealand conference speaking there, as well as flying over to Australia to spend a couple weeks over there talking to anybody who wants to listen to me talk. I'll be at the conference in early December, and then I'm going to be speaking in Sydney and Canberra and Brisbane. If you have a chance to come out and see me talk, please come on out and bring all your great questions, because I really love to have a conversation with people. I think it's important that we meet each other face to face and actually have a conversation about things. Thank you so much.
Be Reasonable is the interview show from the Merseyside Skeptic Society, where each month I speak to someone about their fringe beliefs. Over the years, I've spoken to psychics, UFO believers, moon landing deniers, flat earthers, hollow earthers, and all manner of unusual conspiracy theorists. But I've also talked to AIDS denialists, white supremacists, gay conversion therapists. I even interviewed Jim Humble, the inventor of Miracle Mineral Supplement, a form of industrial bleach that he and his followers use to treat cancer and HIV. This isn't a debate show, and my aim isn't to win an argument. But when we listen to how people promote and justify the ideas that we disagree with, even the dangerous ones, I think we become much more effective at countering those ideas. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, look for Be Reasonable on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else that podcasts live.
We are missing the fog. I'm with Moriel Schottlender from Wikipedia. Where's the fog? Where's the fog? Oh. It is a stinking hot day in San Francisco.
Yes, we're Carl, where are you? Carl, please visit us.
Carl the Fog.
Carl the Fog.
Why do they call it Carl the Fog?
I don't know. I'm a transplant in San Francisco, and that was my question too. I'm not sure. I know that there's a Twitter account, but I don't know what came first, the name Carl the Fog or the Twitter account calling itself Carl the Fog. I'm not sure.
But wherever it is, I mean, it's stinking hot. It's like a stinking hot Sydney day here. Normally when you go down to Fisherman's Wharf or something like that, there's a bit of a cool sea breeze and it feels great, but not today. But we're not there. We're downtown. We just had a nice salad. Now, folks, you might remember I interviewed Moriel a year back or something, maybe 2 years back, about Flat Earth.
That's right.
And then after that, I interviewed you about your work at Wikipedia. How's that going?
Oh, it's going great. I still have... I don't remember if we talked about my team specifically, but everything works awesome. We are still operating. The mission is super important, especially nowadays with just politics all over the world. We really care about proper information and collaborative information and figuring out, the truth versus some of the untruths out there, like flat Earth. So you would not see that the world is flat on Wikipedia.
Oh, good. But there must be reference to flat Earthers or the flat Earth movement or something like that?
Oh, I'm sure, yes. Yeah. But it will not say that the Earth is flat. It will explain what the movement is.
But you work at Wikipedia. Surely you know what every page says.
Oh, of course. Yes, by heart. Ask me anything.
That's right. Now, you were just telling me over a nice salad we had a moment ago about a new project you're involved with, and I think you're really the genesis of this, and it's all about cheat sheets. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so this is one of those things, you know how the best ideas you have is while you're taking a shower and thinking about your life? That's basically what happened. So I was looking for stuff online, just a reference for something, and I found this cheat sheet. It was a programming language, so I found this cheat sheet, and I sent it around because it was very useful, and then I looked at it and I was like, this is one of the most useful cheat sheets out there for this language, but I wish there was 2 or 3 more things in it. And then I thought about it and I said, why didn't anyone make a wiki that is actually kind of like this, a cheat sheet wiki, so that everybody can contribute and everybody can edit it and everybody can add it, and together we will have the best quick reference for stuff.
Quick reference cheat sheets, I've used those before. Many years ago when I was a professional, believe it or not, HTML coder back in the early days of the internet, I had various cheat sheets around the office just above my desk there, and I could, what's this mean and that mean? So this is taking it one step further.
Yeah, and it could be for anything. I think for technology we use it a lot, what is this command for? But it can also be for cooking. Who didn't use, I need to remember, especially conversions, how much is a pound and whatever, or how many cups is in, a liter, or whatever it is. We use those all the time, and we keep having to search for them. So having a single place where you have all the references there, and it could be for languages, it could be for cooking, it could be for computers, it could be for the metric system, it could be for math equations. We just look for those things a lot. In the majority of cases, we find things that other people made, and they might not be completely perfect, so we end up making our own. So here's, I was like, here's a place where, how about I create a place where everybody can just make it together? So that's what I did, and it's called Nutshell Wiki. So it's HTTPS nutshell.wiki. And
nutshell.wiki. I mean, just before, when we were having our nice salad, I put in nutshell.wiki, and I got straight there.
Yeah.
And there's not much there at the moment, and you are in the position to make a request to our listeners.
Yes, so one of the things that I would love to happen is to just fill it with things that are, good, not just useful, but rationally useful. So not just all the woo-woo stuff out there, which might happen if I open it up to all the entire world first.
How to cast a spell. Here's the shortcut. You haven't got a toad? Well, a frog will do.
A list of 10 ways to know the Earth is flat. So all these things, and I think that there's a lot to go with there, and the community is just starting out. I'm still working on fixing kinks and figuring out how things are done. So this is really the time for anyone who has anything to say in a nutshell, or if there's anything,
quick references.
Quick references.
Cheat sheets, quick references. What's the way I say this verb in German? Yes, little things like this. There you are, folks. There's your chance to be in on a very new development of nutshell.wiki. There's not much there at the moment. I had a look. There's not very much, but we hope to expand that.
Yeah, that's right. That's why it's a wiki. It's going to be the work of all of everyone that contributes.
I should make a podcasting cheat sheet. Actually, and in fact, next week I hope to give my very first media training to our friend Susan Gerbic, who does guerrilla skepticism on Wikipedia. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's exciting news, folks, if you're into wiki, and who isn't.
There we go.
What is it? It's the fourth most visited site in the world or something?
Wikipedia is the fifth.
Fifth after Google, I imagine.
I think it kind of shifts a little bit, but yeah, I think it's good. Well, Google I think is either the first or the second. I think Facebook is somewhere up there.
Oh, okay, sure.
I don't rember who the third.
I think the third one could be the Skeptic Zone.tv, but anyway.
Yes, that yes. It's sometimes the third, sometimes the second. And it also changes a little bit between countries, but for the most part, we're number 5. Just to make it clear, Nutshell Wiki is not a Wikipedia project.
Right.
It's a personal project, but it does work on a wiki, which is something that Wikipedia is doing.
I understand the concepts now, just in case anybody had confusion. Well, Moriel, great to see you again. It's lovely to catch up with you. Let's hope next time the weather is a little bit more favourable as we peel ourselves off this hot... I mean, it's all this concrete I don't think helps. We're in a sort of... What are we? We're between two huge buildings at...
It's next to the Jewish Museum here.
So it is.
The Contemporary Jewish Museum.
Yeah, right behind us. There it is. And luckily the sun is now getting a bit lower, but people are walking around thinking, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell? I'd rather have a flat Earth than global warming, but what are you going to do?
I know. If only. Well, maybe flat Earth wouldn't have had global warming.
Ooh.
Someone should calculate the odds of that. How far away the sun is in a flat Earth.
Thanks, Moriel.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. Now, if you are in or near Bend, Oregon on Wednesday the 25th of September, there's a meetup coming. Skeptoid Media and guest Susan Gerbic, Grief, Vampires, Wikipedia, and more. Susan Gerbic is the founder of Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia, GSOW, Monterey County Skeptics, and is a self-proclaimed skeptical junkie. A Skeptical Inquirer contributor, Gerbic is a fellow of the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, CSI, and a winner of the James Randi Foundation Award for 2017. Mark Edward, a professional mentalist who specializes in magic of the mind, will open the show with his mentalism as well as talk about his work in the psychic business. So there you are, folks. If you're in Oregon, make your way to Bend, Oregon, on Wednesday, September the 25th for that evening, and I will link to that on this week's show notes. That's at Meetup. Coming up on next week's show, I hope to bring you the promised interviews with some of the people from DragonCon I was lucky enough to meet, and also maybe behind the scenes at Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia, because in a few days I'll be actually visiting Susan Gerbic. So that should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. Susan, if you're listening, get the peanut butter ready. And the chilies. And the champagne. And more champagne. And some chocolate. Thank you again to all those wonderful people who support the Skeptic Zone at Patreon. And you can do that at skepticzone.tv. It's your contributions that keeps the show going. Trust me on this. It's your contributions that keeps the show going. It's very much appreciated, any contribution people make. A lot of people chip in $5 a month. Some people chip in a bit more. But whatever you can spare a month, it certainly makes a big difference at the Skeptic Zone. But for this week, from the San Francisco area, this is Richard Saunders signing off. You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone podcast. Please visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for show notes, contacts, and to access the back catalogue of episodes going back to 2008. You can follow the Skeptic Zone podcast on Twitter at Skeptic Zone, visit our Facebook page, or leave a review on iTunes. You can also support the Skeptic Zone via Patreon or PayPal. The Skeptic Zone podcast is an independent production. The views and opinions expressed on the Skeptic Zone are not necessarily those of Australian skeptics or any other skeptical organisation.